Okay, so hi, I'm Martin. I'm an editor with Polis Media, and we are here with Maisie, who is running to be the next director of Wellbeing. So Maisie, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us why you want to be the next DoWell?
Yeah. So hi, I'm Maisie. And I want to be your DoWell because I know that this year has been really tough for everyone. And I think I've seen a lot of people that I know struggling. And to be able to dedicate a year of my life to making the student experience that bit better would just be so special. And I think I'd really like to be there for a lot of students because I know that St Andrews does have such a nice sense of community, but it doesn't feel that way for a lot of people. And I really, really want people to feel like a part of St Andrews. Um, and I think I definitely don't want the next generation of students to not have to have to go through the stuff that I and myself and other students have had to go through. And I think this will be really, really key in reflecting and assessing what can be made better for everybody else, and for students to feel like they can just reach out and things will happen. And yeah, I'd really love to do it.
That's great to hear. So I've read through your manifesto. I've really been impressed by the attention to detail, and something that you really emphasize is your gut confidence program. And so I wanted to ask you about that. If you maybe want to talk about how you developed this plan, sort of what brought you to this sort of key focus, and how you would set it up, and then obviously how it would help students in the next few years.
Yeah, so I initially came up with this plan because I knew that oh, I'm going quite glitchy. Is it okay?
Yeah, that should be okay.
Okay. I knew that all throughout university, my biggest goal in life was to just gain confidence and be more of a confident person in myself. And I didn't necessarily feel like I could talk to anyone about this. I know a specific experience of going to student services and wanting help on how I could project my opinions in tutorials, but there was no help for it whatsoever. They just didn't know what to do. And I feel like that is something that a lot of students struggle with. Um, so I really want to build a kind of community where people can share the struggles that they're going through with relation to social anxiety, imposter syndrome, and low self-esteem, and just be able to build each other up. And I will do this by setting up a support network and support groups. So we'll run workshops and invite guest speakers in, and just have general chats about how we're getting on and what people find helpful and what they don't. And yeah, just inviting lots of people into the conversation. I think as well, a big problem is St Andrews is students feeling isolated because after, say, first year of freshers, they haven't made any friends and they're really panicked about that, and they end up on their own for a lot of the time and they don't really find their people. So I think having the regular speed friending would be really important for that. But I know a lot of people would not like to go to something like that because it's almost stigmatized to be like, I'm going to find friends. But I think if we structure it by having different, say, departments and schools and year groups, and say, come and get to know each other here, and it provides a setting for people to socialize with people in their classes, and having societies collaborate and let their members get to know each other through this kind of speed friending process. I think it'd be really good. And yeah, most importantly, just having something that acknowledges this issue.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think it's probably the first time I've heard that issue addressed head on, and it for something so big in St Andrews, I think it's really important. So thank you for explaining. So my next question is, I'm wondering what you think one thing that the current holder of the job you're going for has done well, and one thing that they have done less well and that you would aim to improve upon.
Yeah. That's a good
A
question.
bit of a tricky one, yeah.
Yeah. I think definitely in coping with the current situation. The current DoWell she's done such a great job. I think in just adapting to the way things are done and prioritizing support for isolated students and stuff has been good. But I also think that there's not been a lot of sort of active communication and reaching out to students who are maybe at home and don't have access to certain resources and or don't have or just finding out what challenges they're facing. I think it is really important to actively reach out to these people and say, look, what do you need and what can we help with? And I think, oh, I don't want to be like mean about it, but I think I know from speaking to some of the subcommittees that the DoWell is not always like present at their meetings, and things could be run a lot more efficiently if the DoWell does actually turn up to every single meeting. And so I think that's definitely something that I would like to fulfill.
Okay, great. So my next question is again about your manifesto. So you break down your goals into short-term and long-term goals. How do you define those two terms, and how will you make sure that you meet all of your commitments in the timeframes that you lay out for them?
So I think in terms of short-term goals, these are things that I can be done immediately. They will obviously require a lot of collaboration with people and a lot of work to be put into them. But I think these are things that will need to be done before, say, freshers starts, and kind of prioritizing these things that have that specific timeline of needing to be ready for the next academic year. And in terms of long-term goals, I think I see these as ones that'll take a bit more negotiating with the university, and will take a lot more work and input from students to be able to create, such as the support packages. I want to build on those throughout the year. And the union safe room, I think, will require a lot of figuring out logistically how this is going to work. And in terms of timeline, I think it will be important to, obviously this is very much like my agenda, and it'll be important to at the very start of my position to reach out to students about what they think I should prioritize as part of my manifesto, and what kind of things they like on it, what they don't like, but also what should be added, because obviously it should be students that have their say of what I do. And I think, yeah, sort of going off of trying to break it down into these are the things that I'll need to be like consistently working on and having discussions about, and things that can be done and dusted and fixed. Yeah.
That's great. So I have two more questions for you, which are more fun and so to get to know you. So my first one is thinking back to before COVID, and assuming that we return to that at some point, maybe, hopefully. What is your perfect day out or night out in St. Andrews? So for day, something you would do during the full day, or nighttime, obviously a night out.
Yeah. Oh gosh, such a hard question. There's so much to do, but I think, I mean, my favorite night out is always going to Molly Malone's, to the pub. I'm a big pub girl, and just to sit around having a chat with friends and stuff. I think my perfect day though would just be like having to go to all the like social dance classes like all throughout the day, and yeah, just non-stop dancing basically. I love all the Kayleys as well, and yeah, doing salsa and lots of really nice and social things.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
great. That sounds awesome. I love Molly Malone. It's a good pub. Okay, and my second one is if the sub officers could get a pet, what pet would you want to get, and what would you name it?
I think I would want. Ooh, maybe I'm gonna go with either a hamster or yeah, definitely a little hamster. And I think I would name him Welly for Wellbeing.
That's great.
He's Welly.
I love that. Well, hopefully that could happen at some point.
Hopefully.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Maisie, for your time. Good luck with your campaign. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.